Krakatoa's Wrath by Casey Seal. On August 27, 1883, there was an eruption that rocked the world. An Indonesian volcano named Krakatoa had exploded, creating the loudest sound that had ever been recorded in modern history, heard about 3,000 miles away. The ash covered the world, cloaking such faraway cities as London and Rome. Volcanoes are made over hundreds of years, in a simple process that involves lots of heat. When an oceanic plate subducts under another plate, the rock that is entering the mantle is covered in water, which makes it less dense than the rest of the mantle rock. This rises and punctures through the rock of the crust, creating a volcano. Indonesia has always had a history of violent volcanoes. The Indo-Australian plate is subducting under the Pacific plate, which is what causes all these volcanoes. There are over 130 active volcanoes in Indonesia, the most in any country in the world. You can see Krakatoa in between the two arrows. The island before the eruption was full of volcanic potential, with many vents and volcanoes. There were three main volcanoes. Krakatoa, the largest, was 2,700 feet tall. The next largest was Dinan at 1,460 feet, and the smallest was Perbawadan at only 400 feet. Now, only the Krakatoa volcano and part of Krakatoa remain. The spice trade route was one of the most important sources of revenue that countries in Europe had. The thought that you could sell spices in big cities like London and Rome for a lot of money was too good to pass up, so many people sailed their boats to India to reap the rewards. The Dutch colonized a city in the Channel, similar to the Panama Canal today. That was the only way for ships to get from Asia to Europe. They could tax these and make even more money. The city of Batavia, now Jakarta, was once a very thriving port, located in the channel of the spice trade. There were thousands of people living there, all unaware of the dangers that lay ahead. The people in Indonesia are used to volcanoes and do not want to leave their ancestral homes just for one eruption. They choose to believe that there is a spirit guarding the volcano, and as long as that spirit is there, the volcano won't erupt on them. Perhaps this is why so many people were affected when Krakatoa erupted. It is likely that the island of Krakatoa was known by villagers and fishermen long before the Western world. It had probably erupted before, so the people knew about the dangers that it posed. No one lived there, but the people living on nearby islands still chose not to evacuate. The days before the eruption were very interesting. There were earthquakes and loud rumblings coming from the inside of the volcano. The people were more annoyed than scared by this phenomenon. It is hypothesized that there had been many eruptions of Krakatoa before this, but the biggest one known about was the 1883 eruption. There were several small eruptions on August 25th and 26th, leading up to the Big Bang. The eruption happened in 5 blasts. The final one triggered the caldera collapse, which is when the volcano falls into the magma chamber and explodes. All of the ash and rock and debris hitting the water triggered many different tsunamis going away from the volcano. 120-foot tsunamis hit and wiped out many islands and villages around Java and Sumatra, the two closest large islands. The damages that followed totaled about 36,400 deaths, and the complete destruction of many small islands, towns, and fishing villages. As you can see in the picture, tsunamis created by debris hitting the water washed many things ashore, like this coral block and an iron ship several miles into shore. In this image you can see a person in comparison to the large coral block. Many things flew from the sea onto land, carried by these tsunamis, destroying houses and killing people. Ash flew into the atmosphere and caused something called the solar radiation filter. This caused global temperatures to drop as much as 34 degrees Fahrenheit for about 3 years. All around the world there were spectacular sunsets that stunned the population. This happened because the ash also caused clouds to reflect more red and orange light, and the sky lit up for a year straight. This was a spectacular ending to a destructive but amazing event. The island of Krakatoa, as seen in the yellow outline, was once very big. After the collapse, almost the whole entire island fell into the ocean. All that remained was a little bit of Krakatoa. However, the vent from the mantle was still active, and gradually the volcano built itself up again, as seen in the image. The islanders living around it call it Anak Krakatau, or Son of Krakatoa. There is a slightly chilling prospect that has been put out by several scientists that suggests Krakatoa has erupted before. There are a few records of there being a large bang, such as in the Javanese Book of Kings. Another English scholar wrote in his book that the sun became dark, and its darkness lasted 18 months, which is similar to what happened in 1883. This record suggests that there was a big eruption that split the islands of Java and Sumatra apart. They also found evidence of ash in icebergs across the Arctic. If it has erupted before, it will erupt again. It will be so much more disastrous, as there are so many more people that will be hit by surprise. We do not know much about this volcano, but what we do know is fascinatingly creepy. When will it unleash its wrath? We may never know. I got my images from Google Images and most of my information from several assorted websites across the internet. I got some other information from the History Channel. Thanks for watching, and I hope that this sparks your interest in Krakatoa.